Hey guys, Tyler Pensick with Real Life School. This video is for the high schoolers that just graduated and don't know what to do, all right? It's daunting. Life is about to hit you in the face. So this topic is, I just graduated high school, what now, okay? Nobody really teaches you the basics on how to really survive or become an adult. I know your parents tried really hard and it just didn't click, okay? So here, we're gonna go through the checklist. I'm gonna start with credit, okay? There's so many people that talk about credit and what it is and why it's important. Long story short, it starts with your money, okay? It starts with a job. If you spend more money than you make, that can ruin your credit. How do you do that? So we'll start with credit. Why is it important? So as you go through this life, you can't afford to buy a home in cash. That's why credit's so important. I wish they would have taught you this in school. When you come across a purchase that you can't afford, typically you need a loan for it. That's why credit's so important. So as a high schooler going out into this world, do not buy things that you cannot afford. It's super important for you to maintain a low profile, understand these basics of credit, a budget, how to get a job, so on and so forth. You have no idea what the real world is about to hand you, okay? So you need to understand what credit is. Next, we need to work with a budget. You've probably made enough money with an allowance or side hustle of mowing grass or starting a lemonade stand or selling golf balls, okay? That's great and all, but how much money have you saved? So you probably had a job or allowance for the last 5-10 years. How much money do you have left? There's very few kids that I know that actually have a couple thousand or $10,000, and those people learned it the right way. They saved. They did not spend more money than they were making. Okay, so we start with credit. We work on a budget. What's next? We got to get a job. We got to find some way to eat. Mom and dad are no longer going to be there for you. It's time for you to grow up. So how are you going to do that? You got to find a job. You got to find a way to pay for the lights. You got to find a way to put gas in your car. You got to find a way to keep the electricity on. I'm not talking about a job that you've been working since you were 12 years old, of mowing the grass or getting a job at McDonald's. I'm talking about a job that you love, that you want to spend the next 10, 20, 30 years doing. This is so critical. The education system wants you to get a job so you can work it for 40 years and just, do the mundane Monday through Friday and hit the snooze button and call it hump day or thank God it's Friday. I'm talking about a job that gets you excited. I'm talking about a job that you dreamed about when you were a kid. That is what I'm talking about, a dream job. We need to help you get that dream job or ask you, what is it that you want to do? Next, everybody needs a place to live, but school didn't teach you how to get an apartment or how to buy a house or how to save up. Okay, all these steps start with credit. You don't have a lot of money to work with right now, so you're going to have to borrow money for that vehicle or borrow money to start that company. Okay, next is the budget. Most of you will go out and buy a car that you can't afford. Okay, this is the number one classic mistake of a young person coming into adulthood. Let me just give you a reminder. Nobody cares about the car that you drive other than you. And let me tell you something. After 6 months or a year of paying $500, $600 a month, you are going to look at that car and be pissed off because the majority of your money that you're spending is going to a vehicle. It's cool now, but it ain't cool long term. Okay, so we're going to teach you how to buy a car. Next, once you have landed at that job or figured out the stepping stones to land that dream job, we have to make sure that your finances are squared away. The world revolves around money, okay? The credit is a means to an end so you can buy a vehicle A to B. The credit is a means to an end to get that apartment and get utilities put in your name. So once you have figured out your budget, you understand that you have more money saved or more money coming back to you than you do each month, then it's time to invest, okay? You're going to take that money that you have each month and you're going to put it into a savings account. We don't just work to save, but in your stance, we need to work to save so we can invest it, all right? You don't just keep that money in the savings account for 10, 15 years because it won't make you any money. But you also need to have money so you can actually invest in something. They don't teach us in school. Let me tell you what usually happens when you graduate from high school, okay? You graduate, you do nothing, and you live at home. You get a job because mom and dad are saying, listen, you're an adult now, and I need you to actually pay rent, or I need you to contribute to the grocery bill. Then you take 2 to 5 years to figure it out. These 2 to 5 years are critical. These years, typically, people will go buy a vehicle to make them feel good, or they'll buy the sunglasses, or they'll buy the shoes, or they'll spend the money at the bar to try and pick up chicks, or etc. There's so many ways that people misuse the very valuable money that they have when they're first starting out. Then, after 2 to 5 years, you wake up and go, holy smokes, I have actually progressed nowhere. I'm still living at home. I still have a crap job, and I really don't know what I'm supposed to do with my life. So, a recap, you need to learn how credit can work for you. When you turn 18 years old, go get a credit card. The number one thing that I need you to learn is that is not your money. We're not a credit professional here, okay? We don't know the analytics behind how many credit cards you should have and when you should pay it and what percentage of the bill that you should pay it. Moral of the story is, if you don't have the money, you can't afford it. If you can't pay cash, you can't afford it, okay? So, at 18 years old, you need to start developing your credit. This is my suggestion. Go to your local bank or go find a mentor on Real Life School that is a credit card professional. Find a card that has no annual fees, a starter card. It'll probably start out at $500 or $1,000 a month, a credit limit, which means that the card you have access to $500 or $1,000. I'm going to tell you something. Do not max that card out, okay? Treat it like a debit card. The difference is that the debit card only allows you to pull out enough money that's in your savings or checkings account. Your credit card has a set credit limit. For this example, $500 or $1,000 as you're starting out. I do not want you to overextend yourself. If you can't pay the credit card off in full each month, you're doing it wrong. This is the baseline to credit. So make sure you pay your bills every single month. When I mean your bill, I mean your credit card payment. If you're going to spend money on gas or you're going to spend money at McDonald's or on groceries, you might as well get points for it. We'll talk about this in the credit card module on Real Life School. For additional information, there's plenty of other mentors that actually know credit cards and where the points are and what card is best. The key with your credit and building it is to make sure you start early and make sure that you pay your bill in full every month. If you do this, you will not go wrong. Hey, that's a recap for I just graduated high school. What's next? Just a recap: credit, a budget, landing your dream job, and then finding a place to live. All these are covered in additional videos as a member, and you get the full video series. Thanks for joining us.